Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Friday night, the 4th of December, 2020. 27 days left in this wonderful year. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware in West Babylon, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue, 631-756-1125. The website is omnitruevalue.com. They're your go-to place when winter storms come, so you can get your winter storm supplies, including Omni-Melt, Geomelt, Biomelt, Petalo calcium chloride pellets, Mag ice pellets and flake, spreaders, snow blowers, generators, whatever you need for the upcoming winter, you can get it and get it quick and with the best prices in town, omnitruevalue.com. So really, we have our, first of all, I want to just say good evening, everybody, and good evening to everybody on the chat board. And if you like what you see, hit the like button. It's a good way to show your support and really appreciate it when you do. So thanks very much for those of you who have hit the like button already. This is our first winter storm, really, for the Northeast, at least for New England. And I don't know, Joe, I kind of went... you've got the Weather Service doing the. I'm not criticizing anybody's forecast because you can't really do that till it's over, to be fair. But I thought their numbers were a little bit on the high side. On the other hand, WPC, the Weather Prediction Center, their numbers, their probabilities are, to me, look a little bit maybe on the low side. I sort of lean to the low end and somewhat split the difference. I don't know. I'm a little leery because it's not that cold at the moment, which is not a surprise. But even the cold air that's coming down with that northern shortwave isn't exactly a cold air mass you want to write for the history books.
Joe, I think what we're going to see is what a friend of ours, Pete Bergman, told me a long time ago. Actually, he told me this when we were into college. He said, in his opinion, situations like this, cold air advection cuts all the precipitation off. And even though the winds will turn to the north probably later tonight and first thing in the morning tomorrow, by the time the cold air uh, becomes significant or substantial enough to change any precipitation to snow, at least for our part of the Northeast, it looks like it's going to be all but over.
And we're talking eastern Pennsylvania to coastal southern New England, by the way. That's
yeah,
our part.
I really don't, I mean, like up in the mountains, obviously, of northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and a good part of Maine, they'll be seeing a good deal of snow, certainly enough to shovel. But if you even a cheap thrill down in our neck of the woods doesn't look like it's really going to be taking place.
No,
Now,
not
I
at
can see
all. I
the day.
mean, maybe some folks will see some wet snow mixing in, or maybe a few ice pellets. I wasn't really overly enthused with regards to what's going to happen down our way, mainly because of the fact that I mean it's all fine and dandy. You've got a storm that's going to be developing offshore. It starts to intensify rapidly. When it does that, it's almost going by us. You really need it to happen when it's down off the Virginia or Delaware coast. You need that process already taking place to pull down the cold air. It'll be fine for interior New England, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be anything for us. And in the aftermath, it looks like we'll probably be cold, or at least on, let's call it on the chilly side of normal, Sunday and maybe through the first half of next week, because there's still troughing going on. There's going to be another low that's going to form off the Carolinas on Monday. That'll draw down a little more cold air. But I think this week ahead for us is going to be mostly dry.
I think personally that we may finish out the day tomorrow with a bit of sunshine. If the models are hinting at some pokes or breaks of sun, but usually when you have an intensifying storm such as this, the drying and sweep of clearer air usually comes in a bit quicker. So
Yeah.
it would not be at all surprising to me if we, at case in point, what we had on Thanksgiving. I remember on Thanksgiving, I was telling people, I said, well, the sun may put in a cameo appearance before the end of the day. Look what happened.
Yeah,
We
broke out
busted out
wide
with the bright
open.
sunshine. It was a gorgeous afternoon. So don't be surprised if we have rain now, rain for the first half of tomorrow, then it shuts off by about noontime, and then maybe by 2, 3 o'clock, we're breaking out into bright sun.
Yeah, I
So
think for me on Long Island, it might take longer. I may not get it till later in the afternoon. So, but either way, Sunday is, by comparison, the better of the 2 weekend days. Why don't we go through? Let's go through a few of the. I got the snowfall forecast maps. I pulled them all up from the Weather Service, and then I'll show you mine that I did for southern New England. So we'll start with Boston, and Boston's got the accumulating snows mainly along and north of 84, 2 to 3 in Litchfield County, and kind of noses the 4 to 6 in the northeastern part of Connecticut. And then you get up into Massachusetts around Worcester, where they're going 8 to 12 there. And they're even going 3 inches or so for Boston. And I'm thinking back to earlier in November. I think it was in early November where they wound up with something similar to this, and they wound up getting about, I think, 3 or 4 inches in Boston itself. So
yeah,
I suppose that's not too bad for a repeat performance. Vermont, where your search for a Cracker Barrel would be futile.
yeah,
You Most of Vermont actually isn't going to see very much. Maybe the most on the Weather Service forecast in the southeast and northeast corners, where you see some higher amounts in the 6 inch plus range. Then we move over to the east in New Hampshire. New Hampshire does very well. Looks like they have anywhere from 7 to 12 in the Granite State. My description of New Hampshire is that it's paradise on earth. I just love that place. And going into the western half of Maine, uh, not too shabby there. 12 at Rumford, 14 Augusta, 14 at Lewiston, 11 at Sanford, Skowhegan, 14. I said that right too. And then up in northern Maine, also some 11 to 14 inch amounts expected. Down East Maine, you get down toward Bar Harbor and Eastport, a lot less because they may actually change over to rain. They'll probably get more in southwestern Maine than they will get in northeastern Maine. And here's what I did. I just kind of have a zero, the black line, anywhere from just some flakes to maybe uh, where there's some elevation, a slushy coating to an inch. And I just kept it on the order of 1 to 2 inches or so in most of Connecticut, except for the northeast corner. And I start to get into some of the higher amounts. And where the Weather Service has got 8 to 12, I've got 6 plus for east central Massachusetts. I didn't push it up much further than that, but clearly coastal southern New England down to Long Island, New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley, back to eastern Pennsylvania. I mean, other than a couple of flakes or ice pellets that mix in, I think that's going to be it.
think so. Yeah, and yeah, I saw the Lewiston forecast. That's where the Farmer's Almanac is published, and that's a pretty good amount. I'm over a foot there. A friend of mine, Mark Melhot, that's up in Maine, says on his Facebook page there is snow in our forecast, and where we are, possibly lots of it, a foot or more. So uh, that's the place to go, I guess, if you're a snow lover. Although, as we touched yesterday, Joe, this probably all of the snow or skiers would be rejoicing right now, but in the current situation with COVID, I don't think there are very many skiing resorts that are open, in spite of the fact that the weather is certainly favorable for doing that.
I got a 20 print here. I'm guessing that's Mount Washington on the digital forecast view. But again, you see the big amounts that are up in Maine. Steve Lapointe hitting super chat tonight. Joe and I express our greatest thanks to you. Most appreciated as always. And here's my issue. I don't think you'll disagree with me. We still have temperatures mostly in the middle to upper 40s, which is not insurmountable. But even when you go up to the north and through upstate New York, it's still mostly in the low to mid 40s, and even some middle to upper 40s in some places. It's fairly warm, and you have to. If we were seeing an air mass coming down from as a result of that northern shortwave, and if we had an air mass that behind the front you had temperatures were in the teens and single digits, then I would be, I think would be justified to be more bullish with regards to snowfall. I'm still a little nervous about how much they're going to get out of this in New England, but at this stage of the game, it's a sort of you start playing we'll see, and indeed we will.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. And my daughter, who's staying with us this weekend, she actually is up in the New Paltz area. She's looking at me and she's saying, "You mean to tell me I wouldn't have gotten any snow?" I said, if you get excited by a few wet snowflakes, that's about it. I really didn't see even up there any kind of significant snow event taking place. And she said, "Will it ever snow this winter?" I said, "Well, I
And
have
it's
been
only
saying,
early December, for God's sake.
well, but I've been saying, Joe, that I have this feeling that whatever snow we get this winter for all the snow lovers, it's not going to come through the course of the winter. I think we're going to get snow. It's going to be in one big lump, one one big blowout of a storm. Be it one of the 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 inch jobs. I think that's what we're going to see sometime during the winter season. And meanwhile, until that happens, we'll just hear all the snow lovers out there crying and saying, "Oh, we're not going to get anything this year."
United Heretics Rising General Constitutional Keys on the chat board, Joe says a lot of ski resorts are open with social distancing rules. Well,
Okay.
I got to imagine when you're on the slopes, you are pretty much always socially distant, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I don't see unless the person that you're sitting on the ski lift is not related to you or is not a very close relative. Yeah, then I
Oh,
guess you
that's
could.
right. I forgot about the lifts. I'm not a ski person. I don't pay money to fall down.
I have only been on a ski lift a few times up at Hunter Mountain, for example, and it's not during the winter, but during the summertime. During the summer season, it's a lovely place. They have all kinds of festivals at Hunter Mountain. But on you go on those ski, I say to myself, I said, now how do people do this in the wintertime? Actually, go all the way up there, and then they come on down with those long things attached to their feet, bottom of their feet. Forget it. I'm not dealing with
No, I
that.
did it once, and as I just said, Joe, I'm not paying good money to fall down.
Yeah.
I'm not good with that sort of stuff. All right, on the satellite tonight, the two streams in the jet are fairly evident here. You've got the northern branch that's starting to get involved. You've got the southern part here that is shooting out its disturbance. They are unfazed at the moment. They are separate, but we are going to see this all phase together tomorrow. Again, the phase is probably going to be too. It is going to be too late for snow lovers in our zones, but for interior New England, it comes in a fair amount of time. And the big question will be how much of that cold air gets involved, how much dynamic cooling. It's a lot easier to get dynamic cooling up in New England, particularly in a situation like this, because you got mountains, so that helps right off the bat.
Right. Elevation.
Elevation is
Yeah.
everything.
In a word.
So on the radar now for our area, we should talk about the fact that it does look like we're going to get hit with a decent shot of rain. In fact, Joe, I'm looking at the radar this evening. It's really blossomed out back through West Virginia, Virginia down into Western North Carolina, South Carolina. That area has really grown, and that's going to get in here during the early morning hours and last into tomorrow morning. You've got this narrow band of rain that's run out of head. It's almost like a stick that runs from southeast PA across southern Connecticut down into southeastern Massachusetts. But the main game is still, back to the west, and that's where your low center is. That's a pretty sharp looking southern upper air disturbance that's headed our way.
And Joe, in the Hudson Valley, I'm saying generally speaking, a half to 1 inch total of rainfall with lighter amounts to the north and west and heavier amounts to the south and east. I'm sure that where you are out on Long Island, you may get into even heavier bands
Oh,
of
I'm
rain.
think I'm thinking it could be every bit of an inch to an inch and a half. Maybe for the eastern half of the island, they may wind up with an inch and a half plus,
Right, right.
and it could be
And
some,
key,
and it could be 2 inch amounts in southeastern New England too.
so the key to this whole thing is that since it's basically a coastal system, well, not basically, it is a coastal system that we're watching. That'll be somewhere off of Delmarva by late tonight tomorrow morning, and we're rapidly whirling away toward Nova Scotia. And that's why I think that as it combines with that weather front and intensifies, I think that's going to be the key to cutting all of this off very quickly. But again, much to the chagrin of the snow lovers, because that'll be just also the time when the gusty, cold northerly winds will be blowing. But by then, those cold winds will have nothing to work with if you're hoping for the white stuff.
Well, at 4 o'clock this afternoon on the 21Z surface map, behind the front that's with that northern stream that's getting involved here, as I said, temperatures behind it aren't exactly anything to write home about cold wise. It made it up into the low 40s in Michigan. All right, you could say that, well, they just had the frontal passage. All right, I'll give you that. But you move up into the upper peninsula, it's in the upper 20s to mid 30s. You have to really go north of Lake Superior to find temperatures that are in the low to mid teens. This is certainly a time of year where you could see a cold high coming down from the north, where you're looking at temperatures that are down single digits or even below zero. That would be something much more formidable as it moves southeastward. But you play with the hand you're dealt with. Meanwhile, in the southern stream, you just for now, at least for now, you have a weak 10, 12 millibar low in northeast Georgia. There's a developing warm front that runs across central Georgia into South Carolina. So that's some of that warmer tropical air trying to move northward. Certainly, it's enhancing the rains that we saw on the radar across West Virginia, western North Carolina, and then all of that shooting up to the northeast. We don't have a high to the north that's pitching down cold air. Or the high is well out to the east, so we actually have southwest winds at the moment that are blowing. Nothing strong. How windy tomorrow, you think? I mean, I thought for me that the winds really would pick up once the low goes by, and uh, at least for the immediate coast, we might see some gusts here at 30 to 40. I don't think they'll be strong enough for advisory criteria, at least for my neck of the woods.
No, I don't think they're going to be that. I think
Excuse
like
me.
30, bless you, 30 to 40. That would be mainly along the coast. Up where I am, probably more like 20 to 30. But yeah, I don't, I can't see the Weather Service putting up any wind advisories, especially in some situations like we've seen in recent weeks where, I thought that they should have and they never did. So in this type of a situation, which is very marginal, I wouldn't suspect that they're going to pull the plug and say, okay, let's put up an advisory. It doesn't quite measure up, but we'll watch it.
We have a number of winter storm warnings that are up from the eastern half of Massachusetts, except right along the coast of Boston. Uh, I believe that's the. It's hard for me to tell the color. If that's a winter weather. No, it's a winter storm watch. They do have a winter storm watch for areas from Boston, just west inland. Then you go to a warning in places like Worcester, and then winter weather advisories in western Mass, western Vermont. Winter storm warnings also for all of New Hampshire, almost all of Maine. There's winter storm watches for coastal Maine and some of the inland counties in down east Maine. But I guess they're waiting to see just how this whole storm plays out, because those areas might be a little tenuous with regards to warmer air. Storm warnings are up for the coastal waters to about Block Island, and you've got high wind warnings up for coastal eastern and southeastern Massachusetts. Gale warnings running from the Long Island coastal waters down the New Jersey coastal waters to Delaware and to the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. Uh, this is that that's again. I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about wind issues in the inland spots with this. And let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, got it. I just want to make sure I had everything updated, which I do. So let's jump over to WPC and see what they're doing. First off, on their rainfall forecast map, and these are 7-day rainfall amounts, but this is really front end loaded because we're not going to have much happening this week in New England down to the Delmarva Peninsula, but you can see the stripe of 2 to 3 inch rains or more running from the Delmarva Peninsula, touching southern New Jersey, touching eastern Long Island, southeastern New England. The inch-and-a-half line crosses Long Island into southern New Jersey. You're in that 3/4 of an inch to an inch zone, but the amounts sharply cut off once you go north and west of there.
Right.
Also, just want to point out some of the precip that you see in Virginia and North Carolina. Now, some of that is from what's going on tonight, but there may also be some precip there on Monday with another low, and I think there's a chance that there might be some snow in parts of southern Virginia and western North Carolina from what I would describe as the third storm in this particular series that'll be developing on Monday. But we'll get to that in a minute. Pacific Northwest coast down into Northern California showing about 1 inch plus rainfall amounts for the next 7 days. And you continue to see some rather stormy conditions in Western Canada with storms continuing to come in further north because of the ridge that's in the western part of the United States. The plains look dry. The western lakes, parts of the Ohio Valley, looking like they'll be dry for the next 7 days.
Adam Lowe on the chat board, in fact, just alludes to what you were talking about a few moments ago, Joe, about the potential for some frozen precip for parts of Virginia and North Carolina. That comes from a storm that looks like it's going to start revving up later Monday and Monday night. And then once it gets its feet wet and moves out over the ocean, is going to intensify dramatically by Tuesday night. They have it on the latest GFS as a 969 low, but it looks like it's going to be about, I'd say, 250 to 300 miles southeast of Cape Cod and about 300 miles south of Nova Scotia. Misses us entirely. And Adam Lowe says, with all the cold air in place, this, like kind of like the snow lovers get their teeth kicked in with the fact that this is the storm that could really and truly blossom into a major snowfall if only it would take the right course or the right track. But it looks like this one's going to take a little bit more of an east and east northeast course away from the coast and won't have much say in our weather, but maybe will, as you mentioned, possibly bring a little bit of frozen precip before it starts revving up to North Carolina and Virginia.
Joseph Gallo says, I've been so focused on this system, I stopped paying attention to any long-range upper air maps. That's exactly what you should be doing, Joseph. When when you've got something in the short range, the long range can wait, but we will take a look at it. He was asking about does it look blocky in the longer term? Well, at least on this latest run of the GFS, I thought it did, but we'll get into that in a moment. I set up the upper air from a couple of days ago. This was the first trough, of course, that moved on through earlier this week. And then you see the second one here that is in the southwest. That is part of that is being kicked eastward, and that's the system that is now moving through into Georgia and in the Carolinas. The other part is dropping down into the southwest, and that's going to be the system that comes behind this for Monday. Meanwhile, here's the northern trough, the northern shortwave. You have a ridge in the west, so all the moisture and energy from the Pacific coming from the southwest into western Canada. And you also have a big ridge out in the Atlantic up along 40 degrees north, along 40 west, going all the way up to Greenland, which is helping this storm to do to take the course that it's going to take, which is up the coast. And you can see that the two streams phase. But again, the northern shortwave, if it were a little bit deeper than what's being indicated, then I think we would have had maybe a more of a widespread type snow event in the Northeast, and maybe we would have brought some snow down to the coast. But the trough just isn't deep enough. That lifts up and out, and now, of course, the shortwave that is left behind in the southwest gets kicked eastward, and guess what? Here comes another shortwave down from the north. And this time around, you look at it this point on Monday, Joe, where you've got this wrapped up cutoff low in Kentucky and Tennessee, and you think, oh wow, well, look, this could be something that comes up the coast. But the problem is this is where uh, the negative NAO works against you because you still have this ridge up along 40 or just east of 40. That's keeping the storm from tomorrow from racing out of here. It gets up into eastern Canada, and it's just slows to a crawl. So there really isn't any room for this to lift up and around. So instead, it's going to go more east and then turn northeast once it's well out offshore. So you, it's always give and take in the world of weather. You have the we've been talking about having that negative North Atlantic ice oscillation with higher pressures up in the North Atlantic, but here's a case where it's actually going to keep a storm from moving up the coast. And there you can see the upper low swings out east off Virginia and North Carolina, and then runs up northeast to just south of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So it gets there the long way. So it goes out east and then it turns northeast or northeast and heads up to Nova Scotia. We're just left with a cold flow behind it. And then after that goes by, there's another week short. There's another system that drops off the southeast coast at the along about Thursday. Uh, that's when we'll probably start to see temperatures moderate toward the end of the week. The upper flow becomes a bit westerly. You've got another trough that drops down into the southwest. That lifts up towards the Great Lakes. I'm still not 100% sure how that's going to play. But Jaws, looking at this at the long term, it's still the models seem to want to continue the idea of higher pressures up in the North Atlantic. It does look kind of blocky to me. Going toward now at the end of last day on this is now Sunday, December 20th. Does look kind of blocky to me. Uh, what comes out of it, I don't know. I did the surface map that goes with it would get everybody excited, but I'm not going to waste time getting excited about something at 300 at hour 384.
Yeah, in fact, somebody on the chat board was saying, boy, it certainly looks interesting for December 21st. And I did see that.
Yeah,
And
that's that I can guarantee you it's going to look different. You know, it's going to look different on the next run. So don't even bother
yeah,
spending the energy.
anything that's out beyond 5 or 6 days is going to look different on a run-to-run basis. So, um, and you're talking about something on the 21st of December. So we'll see how it all plays out. I will say it's an active pattern. I will say that in fact there's more activity and more chances out in the next couple of weeks as opposed to, let's say, anytime during the winter season last year where we were just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. So at least there's some activity,
Oh yeah.
be it snow, rain, wind, or whatever. At least there's some stuff going
Well,
on
what you
out
have
there.
to hope for is something like what's happening today, where you really didn't have a. This is the problem in this pattern when you have, as we've been emphasizing, the fact that you have these two separate these two strong jet streams that are running across, one from Canada, one across the southern states, and you're going to have models having a lot of difficulty figuring out what to do with all this energy that's running around. So I don't know that you could have really foreseen specifically what's going on tonight for New England. You might have said that looked like there might be hints of it, but the models really didn't become clear on this until just a couple of days ago. I mean, we were hardly
Right.
talking about this earlier this week. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so this is what you're contending with in this pattern. As long as my view is, as long as the NAO is negative, there's you will there's a chance that you could have pieces come together, and they may not be evident at the moment. There's just too much going on to point to something and say that's the one that's going to be a problem 7 days from now or 10 days from now. You have to sort of let everything just sort of play out and watch it evolve and not have any kind of preconceived notions as to what the weather pattern is going to bring. You and I, Joe, know both very well how many times in so many winters where it looks like nothing's going to happen for days and days, and then suddenly you wake up one morning and the models have gone in a different direction, and you find that you've got a storm potential coming. That's happened. That happens every winter, at least several times.
Yeah, there was one. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago. I remember that we were saying to our viewing audience at FiOS One, it looks like it's going to be like very quiet, very dry for the next several days or whatever. And I remember it was Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday, and before I went to the Super Bowl party that I was going to, I looked at the maps and I said, "Oh, this is a little different." Because they were now suggesting some kind of a minor system moving in our direction and possibly bringing us a little something. I think the following Tuesday or Wednesday. I said, that's it doesn't look like it's going to be as dry as we thought or whatever. And then what happened? 2 days later, we're telling everybody to be prepared for near blizzard conditions, and that all came within a span of, let's say, 48 to 72 hours. And you went any further back, there was no sign or no signal that that was going to happen at all. These
Right.
things happen,
Yeah.
especially in a progressive or fast moving pattern like what we have now.
Brian Archibald is using the New York Jets indicator. He says the Jets were 1-15 in 1996, and that was the year we got hammered in January. The Jets will go 0-16 this year, so that means a 30-inch plus blizzard. Well, we'll write it down. We'll
See that?
we'll see if that corresponds.
There you go.
Hey, whatever technique works.
The New York Jets methodology
Right,
of
if the
snow
Jets
forecast.
going 0-16 means we have a snowy winter, then the Jets should go 0-16 every year. By the way, we've got 63 likes so far. Thank you very much, and we appreciate it when you hit the like button. So go ahead and you know thumbs up, hit the like button away. Let's look at the the Surface GFS here, which by the way is loaded with rain here for tomorrow morning. I mean, it's got these the rain levels here on the GFS are very impressive across northern New Jersey to southern New England, and of course you start to see a little bit of the blue getting involved, and then it's in the afternoon. Now if you watch, folks, what happens if the low goes from 1,001 millibar low at 1 a.m. to a 994 east of the Delaware coast by 7 a.m. to a 986 low by 1 p.m. Now it's steady deepening. It's about a millibar, a little bit more an hour, but I would have preferred, if I were looking for something in terms of a changeover further south, you want to see where that 994 low pressure is. That's where you want the 986 pressure to be. And where the 986 goes to a 981, you want that 981 pressure. And those 5 or 6 extra millibars, if the rapid deepening would have occurred further south and west, I think that would have pulled down much more cold air. And the models continue to vary in terms of how they see it. I noticed, Joe, that the European seems to be on this kick now, where the day runs tend to be really robust when you look at the precip and the outcome with regards to snow. And then the night runs tend to be a little less robust with it, because today's run has accumulating snow almost down to New York City. Actually, gives the European gave you several inches, believe it or not. But
Yeah,
I decided that was just too much for me to um, to accept in a situation like this. And then
you know
go ahead. I'm
the
sorry.
Storm Prediction Center has slight chance for severe weather out over the extreme eastern part of the Carolinas, including Cape Hatteras, surrounded by a marginal area. And in fact, if you look at the prospects for tornado activity, right in the coastal area of North Carolina, 5% chance, 2% chance bordering that going toward central North Carolina. Now you say to yourself, well, what does tomorrow show with that intensifying storm? The storm is apparently just a little bit too far to provide any kind of significant activity,
Yeah.
save for Cape Cod. Cape Cod, they have, and for Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, they have a chance for general thunderstorm coverage. And that's it. The rest of the country is free and clear with any kind of convective activity for tomorrow.
As,
All of the stuff is out over the ocean.
SPC just added that risk area, by the way. I just pulled the map up on the screen. They just added that slight risk about 20 minutes ago. And as you said, 5% tornado risk for the immediate coast and the Outer Banks, 2% just inland from there. And look at the GFS and the way it just develops between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., you suddenly have this huge line that's out in the ocean. So it starts to develop it east of Raleigh, Durham at about 1 a.m. in the morning, and then it really just fires up like crazy as it goes east. So it's probably a wise move on SPC's part to move that up to a slight risk. And there you see the snow wrapped up on the backside. The gradient gets very tight once the low goes south and east of Long Island. So that's where I think Long Island I think the wind may pick up here, at least for a few hours, get rather strong, but it really cranks for southeastern New England, which is why they have the high wind warning up in that zone. And then, of course, the low peaks in intensity and then begins to move away. And now here comes the next one. And again, because of the structure of the upper air, it's going to get suppressed south. But it does bring some rain up into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and some snow starts to develop here Monday afternoon in the western half of North Carolina and into Virginia. I think this is probably a little bit underdone, and you'll see the models pick up on this in the next couple of runs. They should start to show more, but the point is that other than high clouds, this does get shunted to the south of us. There's your low, a 94 low east of Hatteras, and then that one deepens to a 75 low out at about 37 and a half and about 68. And then I think it gets down into the low 960s once it gets well south and east of Nova Scotia come Wednesday. And we're just kind of sitting in benign high pressure for Thursday and Friday. There really isn't too much going on through the end of the week. We see a high that builds over the top for Saturday and Sunday. The model's trying to bring lower pressures up toward the lakes. They got a 78 low in North Kansas on day 9, Joe. I don't know about that. We'll see if that's real.
And then they've been going back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like the low is already occluded out because it does a counterclockwise loop in Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas, and then just sort of weakens as it moves towards the Great Lakes. And I think that's because of that negative NAO that's playing into this. But I would suspect that we'll probably see this change a bit. So I don't know about. They get this huge arm of rain coming in for a week from Monday. With snow up in northern New England. We'll see about that. And then just for laughs, you could take a look at what the model did with regards to the end of the period. Don't get excited now. I wouldn't go get I wouldn't go get your rock salt at Omni True Value Hardware today, but wait at least another 10 days to see if this is still alive. Okay, and I'm being sarcastic. You should always go to Omni True Value Hardware to get your rock salt. So
I hope that doesn't verify for the 21st because that's the
that's the night of
the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. If you have a good telescope, you'll be able to see both the rings of Saturn and Jupiter and its moons all in the same field of view, and that will not be repeated again until the year 2080. And Joe, I don't know about you, but I don't intend to be here in 2080. So
no, you're booked elsewhere.
Yeah,
you might be looking at it from the top down.
Exactly.
Unless, of course, your destiny is in a different direction.
Excuse me.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't think so.
Why is all of a sudden getting hot in here?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, one other just a couple of other things before we come back full screen. WPC, with regards to their snowfall forecast, their probabilities, and I have their latest forecast from 2033, so it's only a couple of hours ago. I pulled up the 48-hour probability of greater than 2 inches. I guess they're looking at the European and they're not exactly believing it because they have the 30% chance of greater than 2 touching the Massachusetts-Connecticut line. So I would have thought that if they'd have bought the European, they would have probably pulled it further south. And if we use greater than 4, where the Weather Service is going 8 to 12 in central Mass, they only have, they have a 50% probability of greater than 4, very close to the southern New Hampshire border. So they're obviously looking at this and thinking it's too warm and it's the cold air, not enough cold air is going to get in time in order to change it over. That's that they have been less bullish than what some of the more aggressive models have shown. And the other thing is, I'll just punch up from Pivotal Weather and take a look at the European snowfall forecast map. And if you could think back to yesterday or the day before, now this was last night's. I have last night's up here, and this is where I was saying earlier about how the European at night has been further east and less robust. Maybe has heavier snow up in Maine in both cases. But when you look at today's run, it kind of went back west. So as soon as it'll load here in a moment, but you'll see.
I've noticed that, Joe, not just with the European, but over the years, and I've asked other forecasters. I said, have you ever noticed that the zero Z runs are usually uh, different? I think it has something to do with the fact that, especially in the summertime, the zero Z runs are picking up on lots of convection
Convection.
during the summer and translating that into energy and plots that really don't add up, as opposed to the runs that they do at 12Z in the early morning when things are a lot more calmer.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
and then yesterday you had the NAM model hiccuped on 3 runs in a row, where it could barely bring the rain up to New York City and Long Island, and then it suddenly this morning at 6Z it began to go back toward the other way, and then at 12Z and 18Z it pretty much lined up with what the other models were doing. But on the European, for example, Joe, at 41.4 and 73.6, which I don't think is very far from you,
right.
on the map, it gives 4 inches, and it actually gives an inch down at 41 and 73.8, which I think is not too far from White Plains.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is where what I was saying earlier, how the day run seems to want to go back and bring the border of 2 inch or more snows to just on the New York side of the Connecticut Massachusetts line, and then the night run comes in and takes it further east. And I think that's the more likely scenario, that it's going to be further east. The other thing is you can just kind of see that the European is a little bit more bullish with precip down in Virginia, which I was talking about earlier with regards to Monday, generating a few inches in central and southern Virginia, especially as you go west toward I-81. So just bear that in mind when we check this out on Sunday. We may be talking about some snow down in that part of the world.
Now,
So,
have you yet checked the plumes at all
oh, I didn't
for,
even look at Les Plumes. We could do that. Let's do some Les Plumes.
yeah,
See, what I like, for me, these early storms, if they're not going to impact us directly, if they're close enough, for me, it's like practice. So I get I get to I get to practice on these storms so that I'm in the groove when it finally comes time for our first. So let's see the plume viewer. So I'm going to bring up Les Plumes. By the way, Alfred Phillips is on from Wainwright, Alaska. I saw he said hello before, so I just want to give you a big shout out, Alfred. It's always good to see you on the chat board. I hope you're staying warm up there on the North Slope. Okay, so let's go. I haven't been on here for so darn long. I gotta get the map going. So let's see what Les Plumes de la Briosque gives. Shall we go to Hartford first?
sure. I'm right now on my own screen. I'm just looking at Poughkeepsie. So, but we take a look at Hartford on your screen.
Okay, so we'll go total snow for Hartford. And boy, I haven't used this. God, how much use did we get with this last year? Well, it flatlines at Hartford. Now, let me make sure what I'm looking at here. This was the 15Z Les Plumes for. Oh no, it still says OKC on there. Okay, let me try it again. Hold on. There is hope.
I'm looking at 15Z myself for Poughkeepsie.
All right, I'm going to go to Windham, Connecticut here. It
Oh,
gives Windham, Connecticut an average of 1.87. On the high end, it gives up about 11, and then there's a couple of them that give next to nothing. Okay. So what does it
The
have for
mean,
Poughkeepsie?
the mean for Poughkeepsie is 3.03. If you want to
It
go,
gave Poughkeepsie 3 inches.
it gave Poughkeepsie 3.03 inches, 3.04 actually, Joe.
Really?
Believe it or
Well,
not.
there's a shocker.
And on the high end for Poughkeepsie, it gives 13.3. On the low end, it gives nothing. So
Now, go figure, Joe. It gives Poughkeepsie 3 inches, okay, and yet it only gives Worcester 3.72. How is that possible?
I don't know.
I'll go up a little further in Massachusetts here. This is between Leomeister, actually between Gardner, Mass, and Greenfield, Mass. It's north of Springfield, and it gives them 5. Let's see what it gives Springfield. Springfield, it gives 4. And by the way, if anybody wants to ever use, just Google SREF, SREF, and you can play around with this. I might as well pull up Bridgeport. It gives Bridgeport 2/10 of an inch, and it gives White Plains.
Block Island. What did they give Block
It
Island? Block
gave
Island gave 0.07 for
seven
Block
tenths of an inch for White Plains, Joe. And for Islip, it gave 0.02. 0.02. Okay, not just 2, but 0.02. Let's look at Boston. Boston, it gives a mean of 1.78. Keene, New Hampshire, it gives 7.66. So now you get into some real numbers here. And I'm not sure what spot this is in in central New Hampshire. It gives 5 for some reason. Portsmouth, Maine, it gives 1 inch in Portsmouth, Maine. Gloucester, Mass, 2.41 or near Gloucester, Mass. Montpelier, Vermont. And Montpelier gets 8.5. Now let's go into Maine, Augusta. Now, see, I don't understand this. It gives Augusta 2.9. I mean, how is that possible?
Hold on for a second. I just want to see for myself here.
How is
Hey,
that?
you're right. 2.91. Yeah.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
I'll go Auburn, Maine. I mean, unless now I don't understand. I don't know what they actually, what the mean in Auburn, Maine is 3.33. I don't get it unless some of the SREF models that they're using have the surface slope much closer to the coast where warm air gets drawn into Maine.
I see
But
Caribou 7.5 inches.
yeah, well, that was fun. I'm glad you brought up the SREF. I haven't played with the SREF in so
The
long.
plume.
Le Plus. See, just so everybody doesn't think we're all insane, the what you saw, those bars going up, they refer to those as the SREF plumes. So when when we were working and it was time to look at the SREF, I would just say just on just as a takeoff on the honeymooners with Norton and go Le Plume de la Brioski,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's
You
time for
want
Le Plumes.
would you allow me to share an image? Uh,
Oh, by all means, please do. One moment, please. Uh, he wants to share an image. I'll try to remember to make sure I got this set so that you don't even have to ask. But go ahead.
Ready?
Ready.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to share this particular screen with everybody. And
Stand by. This could be deadly.
whoops, share. Now, could you
Oh,
see that?
yes, we do see that fabulous WPC, I'm sorry, CPC's map.
And you could see that they have virtually the whole. Now, get this, Joe. Take a look at the valid time, December 19th to January 1st. We're already looking into the new year with this particular
But what
map.
the map doesn't tell you, though, is it doesn't tell you how much above. Because if you look, yeah, granted, there is no, we haven't really, there's no real Arctic air intrusion here that's going on. But above doesn't necessarily, I mean, it could be 1 or 2 degrees above normal.
Well, I try to look at, and these percentages, of course, I mean, going out 3 to 4 weeks, it doesn't carry the same weight as, let's say, when you're looking at the 6 to 10 day probability map. But you're going out 3 to 4 weeks. You have to have an awful lot of confidence to say this zone right here in the nation's bid section,
Hang on, Joe.
70% probability.
I got a technical issue here. Hold on a second.
Technical.
1 second, so everybody can see this. Just a minute. Okay. Now, let me bring it up to the top. I got to get rid of all this. Some of these maps that I have up semi-permanent. Hang on. You should be. They can see it.
Well, I'm looking right now on my screen. I just see black, but I'm running. Oh, there you go.
There you
There
go.
it is.
Go ahead. I'm
There
sorry.
it is. There it is behind. I was going to say that, for you to go 3 to 4 weeks in terms of probability and to have enough confidence to say that one particular zone, this area right here in the nation's midsection, 70% probability of above normal, you would suspect that. I think it's going to be more than just a degree or two above normal if they're thinking that high. But
But may I ask this question? Did
yeah,
they not back a few weeks ago have it? I mean, we're not exactly screaming above normal here right now
exactly.
in the eastern part of the eastern half of the U.S. So my guess is that the climate. I've noticed I've been trying taking occasional looks at the climate models, and the climate models have been. I mean, they've hardly changed. They only changed recognizing the pattern that's going on in the east now about a week ago. So I don't know. I'm not enthused. I don't know. I don't see it getting really cold. There doesn't seem to be any kind of true Arctic connection. But on the other hand, I don't. I also with this blocky nature that we have in the pattern in the next couple of weeks, it's hard for me to see this as a coming blowtorch. And they also have it dry.
Right. This is the I changed maps, and now this is their 3 to 4 week precipitation probability map, and you can see that a large section of the country below normal precipitation wise, only place above normal is in the Pacific Northwest. We have an EC, which means I guess you could go either way.
Equal
Equal chances.
chances.
Equal chances, yes. Or as Ricky Ricardo would say, igual Pascual.
Yes, exactly. All right, switch us back because everybody misses our beautiful faces.
Oh, all right. I'm going to get rid of that. So,
And you're not in your suit and tie. Okay, I have to now fix this technical issue. Because what happens is when you share a screen, uh, the uh, the the software that I use for some reason uh, gets rid of gets rid of us,
oh,
and
yeah.
I have to play technical director here, which you know how much I adore doing, by the way.
Right. Well, I
Um,
told you yesterday you need a switcher.
well, I need a switcher and a switcher,
Yeah.
an actual physical switcher and uh, the machine switcher.
Yes.
I need the person to do this. But I'm learning little by little. It's all about learning. So let's see. Nope, that's not working.
Well,
Uh,
look, at least you have the Omni True Value insignia,
yes,
the
front and
logo up,
center,
and
which is the most important thing.
that's the most important thing of all, not us.
All right, let me
Get
try
the
this. Let's
sponsor.
try this again. Hold on, folks. I apologize. This is television at its worst. Oh, good lord. Oh, while we're waiting for me to get our pictures on the board, I was thinking that the Christmas song. What, oh, now I forgot the time. Oh God, what a time to have a senior moment. I was actually thinking about this and wanted to bring it up. It's because I'm doing too many things at the same time. Okay, this is the problem. All right, so hang on 1 second. Let me resolve this first. Okay.
You want me to do a song while you're doing
No, just pray, brethren, that our sacrifice and yours. There we go. Finally got it. I didn't have to say the whole prayer and it happened.
that?
No, The song "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire."
right?
Okay, so when they go into the first verse, when when Santa's on his sleigh,
Right.
and okay, so I'm figuring that
Loaded, loaded lots of
right,
toys on your,
it's 2020, so the words should read, "When sanitizer is on its sleigh, and he's got wrapped up toilet paper on its way." I don't know, it's just my sick mind and semi creative genius at play. All right, so I think we've got all the weather covered. Hold on, I lost something. Nope, that's there. There you go. Okay. I'm using two screens. I got to look in front of the monitor to see the bottom of it. I click the right, the right thing. So the weekend is here, and guess what? It can snow tomorrow without us, because if we did a live stream tomorrow night, it would already be over with anyway. So maybe if the weather gets hopping tomorrow, maybe I'll sneak on during the day, or I'll definitely throw up at least a weather in 5. But we will be back Sunday at 11 o'clock, correct? 11 a.m. Eastern time?
and I believe the chairman is going to send a list of Jeopardy questions, and we'll have again
Oh,
our
wait, he did actually. He did
well, send it
actually.
to you, but he's going to send something to me because he wants my my dear beloved wife to.
Oh, okay, so let me get the ones that I have. I forgot that I do have. The chairman did send. He's on a COVID runs tonight, so I have what he sent me today. I'm glad you reminded me. So
Oh,
hang
thank
on. We can do that. Okay, so this was suggested by Timothy Veltman, and Southern cities' average winter snowfalls. You must get these numbers within 3 for credit. We're going to give you 10 cities. Are you ready?
hold on. I
Get
got
your
my
pen and paper.
my my sheet of paper here and my pen. Yes. So
Average
what?
snowfalls. The category is average snowfalls in these southern cities. Here is the first city, Birmingham, Alabama.
Now this is the average
Yeah, you don't
snowfall.
have to write it down. We can do them one at a time because I got the answers here. So, yeah, average snowfall.
Um, I will. Okay.
You don't have to write it down.
I'll say 1.5.
1.5 is correct. On the
Really?
nose, yes.
How do you like that?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida. I've known well Jacksonville. I'm going to say 0.8.
Trace.
Trace.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, I'll say 3.9.
2.2.
2.2.
Asheville, North Carolina.
Well,
Now,
see now Asheville is in the mountains.
yeah, but also the air. My guess is this is the airport. The airport's lower elevation than the
Yeah.
surrounding mountains, so this number could be a bit on the deceptive side
I'll
for
I'll I'll,
Asheville, anyway.
I'll say 12.6.
15.7. You missed that by 3.1, which is
Ah,
above the 3 inch limit. Cape Hatteras, North Carolina.
oh, Cape Hatteras. Well, how about 0.5?
1.9.
1.9. You
Green.
know,
Go ahead.
it's like a situation like we might see on Monday. It's
Right.
to get an H.
Greenville, South Carolina.
I've been to Greenville. I know it's a very lovely city, and there's also some elevation to Greenville. So I will say 15 minutes. All right, I'm going to say 9.7.
Okay, you needed to get it to within 3. You made it
Right,
within 2.9. It's 6.8.
6.8. Okay.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay. Another one where, let's see, if Cape Hatteras was 1.9 and Norfolk is not too far to the north, so I'm going to just simply double that and say 3.8. And of course, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. I think I could remember in the back of my head somewhere where Norfolk got clobbered with like 18 inches of snow. Well, I'll stay with it. 3.8.
You should have flipped those numbers. 8.3.
8.3.
Um,
Now, how is that possible that you could have such a variance between Cape Hatteras and the Virginia Capes. It's amazing.
All right. I'm gonna go. Dallas is next.
But you you said it already,
I
didn't you?
almost said it. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 point something, right?
Yeah.
2.5.
2.6.
Okay.
Now the next two, I want to double check these numbers. Oklahoma City.
OKC.
Hmm.
How about 7.9?
Now he's got 5.8 here. I just
Right.
think I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking that number is kind of low. And Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. And Nashville can actually, get some good snows from time
Hmm.
to time. I've seen them get that. I'll stick my neck out and say something like 11.6.
See that he has 6.5. Those I'm gonna question those two numbers. I'm gonna do a little digging
What you're going to have
about
to
it.
do, Joe, what you're going to have to do is take a look at Compton's Picture Encyclopedia,
Yeah.
the source of preferences for the questions and answers used on Jeopardy.
Thank you, Don Pardo. You and I are one of the few people left around that remember Art Fleming.
Art Fleming. I have to look back on some of the YouTube
I
videos.
told you I met his. I had a lovely conversation with his daughter. She
Really,
was a guest once on News 12 many years ago, and she was thrilled that I remembered her father from.
it took 5 minutes it took 5 minutes for the game to start
Hmm.
because Don Pardo would say, now I think, and this is the question here: did he say the star of Jeopardy or the host of Jeopardy? Now, Alex Trebek is the host, but I have to look back and see whether or not Don Pardo referred to Art Fleming as the star.
Uh, Gee, that's a good question.
Regardless of whether he was the star or the host, Art Fleming would come out, the people would be applauding, and he'd spend the next 5 minutes saying, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Thank you very much. All right, thank you, thank you. And then finally, after the umpteenth thank you, all right, players, let's play Jeopardy.
The Martins here
Hold on a
just
second.
realized they outgrew their
It was
home, so they
a
used
really,
rocket mortgage to finance.
I don't know how many of the people on the chat board. I always watch
Ladies and
Jeopardy before I
gentlemen,
come
it's
downstairs
with
to
great
do the show
admiration that
here.
I present for
And
the
tonight, one of the questions was
2753rd time
what
the star
astrological
of
sign
Jeopardy,
is
Art
also referred to as
Fleming.
moon child or moon children? And the answer was Cancer the cat. But when he said the answer to the players, he said Cancer, and then he patted himself like this, and I said, oh, that's kind of sad to the knowledge of knowing what
Yeah.
just a couple of weeks was going to happen.
Hmm.
But that shows you the kind of guy he was. I mean, he knew that he was, verging on terminal, and how dire his situation was, and still, even in that situation, he was still able to laugh and kid a little bit by tapping himself when he said that word. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Certainly the struggle is. You can only you only know what's when from someone who's dealing with it.
Yep.
It is a struggle. I have one of my closest friends right now is dealing with it, and it's day to day,
Yeah.
day to day.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we'll be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Uh,
And who
92 likes, Mr. Rayo. 92 likes.
thank you
Thank
from
you
the
very
bottom of our
much.
heart.
And Steve Lapointe, thank you for your encouragement. I really appreciate it. And hitting Super Chat tonight as well. Thank you. And of course, everybody on the chat board tonight. They all were posting answers to the questions here. Uh, uh, from to the questions from the snow cities. I got to check again on Oklahoma City and Nashville because I can remember some years where Oklahoma City got clobbered. And as you said, Nashville also, I would have thought the numbers would have been a little higher. Maybe
Yeah.
nothing crazy higher, but maybe a little higher. But on the other hand, averages are averages. This, if it's a 30-year average or is it a an average going back 100 years. I don't know. So I'm gonna do a little digging.
Chuck Cardillo asked, "Do you remember Joe Chiappi when Alex Trebek did High Rollers?" I remember High Rollers
Yes,
with,
I
with
do.
Ruta Lee.
With Ruta Lee, who I believe she's originally from Canada. She did a couple of Perry Mason episodes, and also did she was in what oh god, she was in the movie with, oh, his face is Charles Lawton and Tyrone Power, Marlena Dietrich, uh, and it was it Witness for the Prosecution?
I don't know. You're the big movie fan. Um, what I can tell you about Ruta Lee, which was mentioned in Alex Trebek's book, which I strongly urge a lot of. If you haven't gotten the book, it makes a great Christmas or holiday present. And the one thing he said about Ruta Lee was he was amazed. Alex Trebek was, because Ruta Lee seemed to know everybody
Yes.
in Hollywood. Yeah, like it'd be interesting to see Ruta Lee's little black book. She probably had the name of every famous actor or actress in that book, at least according to Alex Trebek.
By the way, I was right. It was Witness for the Prosecution. Very good movie, very funny. Elsa Lanchester is in that as well. If you wanted to get to see a really interesting mystery, sort of a mystery. It's a court trial, but it's well done. Witness for the Prosecution. Scott Briller
And it's and
is on the
Sherman is
board. He just hit
yeah,
super chat. Thank you, Scott. Hope you're staying safe on your COVID runs. Very important that you stay safe and healthy, because you already had that one run back a few weeks ago when you were hit pretty hard with whatever bug was going on, but it wasn't COVID, thankfully.
right.
All right, so we'll be back for the umpteenth time. We will be back Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So we will see you then. Thanks again, everybody, for being here and for all the support that you give us on a nightly basis, Joe, and I really appreciate it. We'll see you in less than 48 hours.
Yes.
Nighty night.
Au reservoir.